We'll have a salute to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On the roll call of members.
Mayor Moore.
Here.
Trustee Kim Trombley. Here. Trustee Greg Martin.
Here.
Trustee Steve Southwick.
Here.
Trustee Amy Garrett is running late, but she will be here.
Okay. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Say nay. The ayes have it. Minutes of last month's meeting are approved. At this time, we have a presentation of petitions, communications, and notices in a general question period for the members of the community. Does anyone wish to speak?
I have a question about an exemption that I was interested in pursuing with the village, and well, I know I talked to you, Jeff. Didn't know if you had learned anything regarding that.
Well, what I did find from my research and from what Donna was able to find out, it appears that it's something that's handled by the assessor for the town, and in this case, the assessment is done through the county, and that's handled through them, and they approve or disapprove the exemption, and then we would just follow suit.
And who is that? Who is the assessor for the village?
Jim Gagnon, the county is now doing it, and he's available at the town hall every Friday.
Okay.
Okay, so what I read is you have to make the application to him, and if they approve it, then it goes into effect, and we have approved it here, I guess, previously. So we would just follow suit.
If they, okay. And my question too is the exemption that they give me on a new assessment? In other words, will they come to my home, reassess before and then give me the exemption?
That I can't answer. You'd have to talk to Jim Gagnon about that. So the village doesn't do any assessments at this time. We contracted with the town, and now the town is contracting with the county, so they would handle that. So you have to address your questions to him, because it's, from what I read, it's totally done through the assessor's office. So he would be able to answer that question for you.
Just wanted to add, you could call him at the Clinton County Government Center.
I actually talked to him.
Okay.
I went to the town a couple of Fridays ago, and at first he didn't believe that it was voted in by the village of Champlain. And then he called me back and said that it was voted in, but he would have to come to my home and reassess it. And I was just questioning, is that procedure where I haven't even submitted the paperwork? So I was just curious, and that's what I talked to Jeff about, was, I was curious about the process in which that was managed.
To be honest, the wording was quite confusing, and you need somebody else to interpret that. It's very hard to follow. It wasn't clear. It was 50% off the first year, but it wasn't really clear about 50% off what.
You did get the paperwork that I just got here?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you understand my concern. I felt like, am I shooting myself in the foot by pursuing this? Because
it looked like a good deal to me. But,
yeah.
You'd be best to check with Jim to get a good answer. Okay, are there any other questions? Bob?
Is there anything, are you pursuing the water problem on Prospect Street we discussed last meeting, or? Well,
yes, and I think it's pretty much the same answer as we had last week, or last month, that we are looking at a long-term solution to this. But we did check with Nikon, and they said that we cannot buy any pressure tanks for anybody, or can we give special rates for anyone for any reason. So, as far as short-term solution, probably don't have a good one for you. But this isn't the first time this has come up. This is something that came up quite a few years ago, and we did dig into it and do a little research. And this is where it ended up then too, that there wasn't anything that the village could legally do to help anybody up there with their pressure.
Not a possibility of a pumping station?
Well, we are looking into a long-term solution to that. There is low pressure in several areas of the town districts, in some areas of the village, and we'd like to address that. And it's timely that you mention that, because we are working with the town and the village of Rouse's Point to try to do a shared services study that would look at all these issues and what's the best way to solve them that would make sense for everybody. So we are looking into it. It's, you know, the first part of this is to do a study, a very in-depth study, and that's where we're at right now. But you don't want to do something that isn't going to make sense in the future or that won't work. You know, there's really not a good solution other than we have more pressure there, and that's probably a taller tank. You know, for your particular area.
Right.
For some of the outlying areas, the answer may be, you know, a pump or booster pumps or something like that.
With a pumping station on the bottom, do you kind of a temporary fix for now until you go with the tower in a year or two or whatever?
Well, the catch with that is that the tank is fed on the Prospect Street line, so it has to pump into the tower from the Prospect Street line. So if you pump back the other way, then the pump would have to overcome that pump to fill the tank. It's the way it was designed. I mean, I would have to guess from what I've heard that, you know, people knew that when it was put in, that it would not be enough pressure at the top of the hill. I can't really, that was put in quite a while ago. I can't address why they did that, but there must have been some sort of reason that they did that. You know, maybe it would have cost a lot more to build a taller tank at the time, or they didn't feel there was enough houses or enough people being served to do that. But this is changing. We're expanding. The town is putting in districts, and we are looking at it, Bob. I mean, as best we can, and the study is going forward. So.
Yeah, something too. The gentleman that you saw here with us before, we're an engineering consulting firm. They're going to help us look at what we have for infrastructure and how to address the pressure issues that we're talking about, plus the hardness of the water. And
But you're talking long range, you're talking a year.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
at least. Because it's not just an isolated problem, it's a problem throughout the system. And in order to fix that problem throughout the system, it's going to be a matter of doing some big things. It's not just one or two small things that are going to solve it.
Well, we are concerned about it. Is there anyone else who had any public comments?
I have another question about the exemption. The state said the exemption applies to homes purchased or contracted before December 31st of 2005. Is this something that's got to be voted on by the village yearly?
No, it's
I guess my
it's
main
a
question is...
local law now.
Okay. Because we just bought a home a few days ago, so we'll be able to apply for this exemption as well.
Well, if you follow the
Right.
rules set forth in
Right.
that.
One other question, Jeff. Has anybody ever applied for it before?
Well, I've only been in office for a year, so no one has done it
No.
that I know of ever.
And I don't think there's any other village in the county that has this.
There isn't,
What
because I looked
Bill
into
Humphrey
it.
said.
Oh, so groundbreaking.
Yeah, pretty much.
How long has it been voted in? As far as the village?
2003 is when the law was voted in.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm not positive what month, but it was 2003.
2 years this one. Do you have any other questions?
Any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the report of the code?
One more,
first?
Jeff, I'm
Whoop,
sorry.
okay.
I don't want to take all the time here. We're both new homeowners here in the village, and we want to,
Well, welcome to Champlain.
well, thank you, and I'm happy to be here. We want to get involved and would like to be part of a committee that, as far as beautification and building Champlain any way that we can. And I've talked to some people, other people locally that I think are showing an interest. And I guess I'd like to know what the process would be, and who we would talk to here, and so that things are done in the right order. So we're just kind of putting that out there.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've talked to Amy on the phone.
Yep.
But we haven't. This is our first face-to-face meeting, actually.
Nice to meet you.
Same here. So we would like to maybe form a committee and just get involved.
That's nice to hear.
That would be outstanding.
So, and I think if we go through the board, of course, we're going to make sure that things are done right and things are expedited, as far as process. And if you can direct us, that's kind of what we're hoping, that you can give
Well,
us some
actually,
direction.
as we're going to bring up a little later in the meeting, that's one of our targets for next year, is to try to make the village a little more pleasing to the eye, and we're all for that if you want to help.
Is it funding available, or are there places that we can look for it that we haven't? Rather than taking the board's time tonight, who would we talk to?
Well, I guess you could start with the streets committee. Was it Kim and
Myself.
Steve.
It's called Streets Committee?
Right.
Streets and sidewalks or something like that.
Normally, what I think what's happened in the past is that the mayor actually, at organizational meeting, approves the committee, beautification committee, and you pick a chair or co-chair, like the other committees that you establish at organizational time.
Well, the timing would be good for that, because we do those appointments in April.
Right. And there used to be money in the budget for that, but that's up to the board, obviously.
And we are doing our budget, so it's a good time to bring that up.
There are grants and things out there for beautification of downtowns, especially like our area. But it's, getting someone to write the grants, and that's what we're working on too, is grant writers at this time, so that we can work on it. But then as far as recreation and all of that, you can talk to me about that. And obviously the winter carnival, we don't have much to have a carnival. It's something I was going to bring up at this meeting.
You were going to?
Yeah, it's just not going to happen right now until we get a nor'easter, and then we can schedule it, once we get some snow. But right now there's nothing to do. We could invent some, really interesting games on grass, but I was hoping we were going to get those 2 feet of snow, that they got and they don't want.
Did you talk about park?
Is there any plans at all for a public park for children at all?
There's the Venn Park that's kind of on hold, that's been on hold for many years, and I'm not sure where they stand on that, and I'm not sure who's running that.
I don't
it's
think
on the
that's
golf course,
going
right?
anywhere at this point.
Is it for sale?
And then there's only the rec park at the elementary school.
Well, we just recently acquired some property by the river, and we are looking at doing some things with that. We don't have very many specific plans other than boat launch, which we're going to finish up, and have some benches down there and that. But we, I think there's a playground at the school that's available. And we intend, to take this property by the river and try to improve it.
Where
We
is
can't
it?
build anything there. All we can do is actually, the park is probably about the only thing we can do.
Right on River Street. Right by the funeral home, take a right, and it's right all along there.
Oh.
The boat
No.
launch is towards the end of that road,
Mhm.
before you hit the sewer plant.
Now, what about like a dog park or something? that will appeal to a lot of people in Champlain who have dogs.
Mhm.
And I'm always seeing them walking. But to kind of deter them from letting their animals go on the side of the road,
Mhm.
just have a place that we can fence in that's all open, that they can just let their dogs go. And like have like little toy fire hydrants. Just to kind of keep the village cleaner.
Yeah, a lot of that runs into liability issues,
Mhm.
insurance issues. That's where our hands are tied. You know, I personally would love to get a skate park put in downtown, but there's a lot of insurance issues and liabilities for it. But I would love help with that and, you know, help in pursuing the legalities and whatnot and what we can or can't do down there. But I would love to get things done, so we'll get together, that would be great.
Yeah, and that's something that, you know, beautification committee, that's something that they would look into, what people would be interested in and what direction they may want to take. So, you know, some things we would be able to do, some things we wouldn't, but that's the way to investigate it. I'm glad some people are concerned.
So we would brainstorm, a group of us, and
Yeah.
then bring it
Yeah.
to the board and just say, is this doable?
Yeah.
Is that the process?
Okay, are there any other comments before we proceed? If not, Mike, do we have our code enforcement report?
Yeah, all over the wall. Dealing with a couple different garbage issues around the village, get hold of landlords, I should say, to clean up some of these apartments with garbage around them. The building down in the corner of Church and Main Street, Titanium Air owned it. They were the ones that had the broken windows and stuff. They've since fixed all that, so the buildings on Church Street should be all enclosed now. The old Papio building and that one there. There's an expansion that's going to be happening in the industrial part at Main Knitting. You asked about subdivision earlier. They bought an acre of land there, so they have to have subdivision approval by the planning board here. So I just received the maps today and survey, so we'll be scheduling that. This is supposedly a phase 2 expansion, and speaking with the Area Development Corporation, phase 1, phase 2 was authorized when they did their initial site plan review with the village, and Ms. Kurtz mentioned that as long as they don't deviate from what phase 2 was, we don't have to have the planning board review of this. But I don't know what phase 2 was. I haven't been able to find that out yet, so we're not sure yet. The engineers are proceeding under the assumption that we're going to have a planning board review of this, so it might not be such a bad thing. On the Horizon Heights project, I talked with Mr. Fleming, and he is planning on continuing up there this spring. They just shut down for the winter when it got cold earlier. They have a few different things to do, but he does plan on doing it. He has some different ideas for the rest of it, which he may come back to the board for, but still all in talking stages for now. I did have one interesting phone or message today, and I researched this. Someone wants to have fowl inside the village. And I can't find anywhere in the local code or the zoning law that says you can't. Other than the zoning law says if it's not a listed use, it would have to be a use variance. But pets and dogs, cats, whatever, don't fall into this. So I don't know what the board wants me to do with this here. I can see all kinds of problems with this. That somebody really wanted to. I mean, there's no stipulations on anything. At one time, I was talking with Donna, she mentioned that horses were allowed within the village. And, I mean, this might be going back a while, I don't really know, but I can't even find that, so.
How does the town handle that? They just handle it?
Well, the town is not an incorporated village, so, you know, it's more rural where actually we let it do it. I mean, your houses aren't clustered together like they are in the village. But if somebody wants chickens, you think of 2 or 3, but what if they want 100? 50 of them are roosters at 4 in the morning.
I was just
Not
wondering
to
if
mention
there's...
the summer when it's 90 degrees.
Yeah. Whoa.
You know, I mean, I could contact Mr. Keeble, see what his take is on this, but
How about Ross's Point zoning?
They have a specific section in their zoning that doesn't allow, and they've got a definition, and it's pretty precise. But in our zoning here, it doesn't mention anything. I couldn't find anything in the code book, and we've had the latest version updated here, so I don't know. And the last thing is on that big grant that we've all applied for. I don't know if I mentioned it to anybody, but we've gotten word that they're going to be opening or awarding the grant sometime in May. So that's a lot sooner than what we had thought. Hopefully we'll get something if we don't get it all. Other than that, that's all I have this evening. Any questions?
Yeah, Mike, there's new damage downtown. The old apartment building, the first floor windows are all blown out.
You're talking about the building, right?
The steps go up, the steps
Okay.
go down.
I've talked with him, and he's in the process of repairing some of that. He wants to shore up the back wall. He has intentions of developing apartments inside that building. So he knows about it. Apparently there was some vandalism there and a few other places at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows about the doors open, and he's supposed to be closing them up. But he said he's gonna start working in there this spring, so.
Well, he's got to board those things up before spring.
Oh, yeah. Because there's a broken door, and
Yeah, and 2 windows, I believe, now.
it could be.
It's gotten worse.
Yeah. But other than that,
What are your recommendations on like about the valve and as far as?
I would suggest that we look at local laws from, say, Rouse's Point in the town or other areas and see what they have and at least get something in the books here. I mean, it's funny, it's chickens, but it could be anything. I mean, somebody wanted pigs here, there's nothing. I mean, you get an irate neighbor that wants to get even with somebody, some people will go through great extremes to prove a point.
Chickens will do it!
It's funny, but.
So that would have to go through the zoning board?
The zone, you'd have to ask the zone, the way the process works is the town board, you're the ones that pass the local laws. But normally you would ask for input from the zoning board because this is sort of their specialty, researching this stuff. The zoning board doesn't have the authority to pass any laws. It's the village boards, town boards that do that.
So they would research,
Yeah, you
come
would,
come back to us with a proposed law, and then we could
Yeah.
be able to act on it.
yeah, basically you could send a letter to them, or it would be best if it was sent by letter, just so we have a paper trail. To the chairman or myself or whoever, just asking for research on this, recommendations, if you would. That's all I have.
Thanks, Mickey. Is there any other questions for Mickey? Now we'll proceed with the mayor's report. Tonight, I just wanted to go over some of the things that we had, some of the highlights from this year, and some of our targets for next year that we're going to try and achieve. I think it's overall been a pretty good year. We've tried to start a lot of new things. We've hired 2 new public works employees, Mike Rock and Larry Friends. We've selected a new clerk treasurer, Juanita Manoz. We have a new superintendent, Woody Kissel. We purchased a redundant water pump that's going to be installed this spring to ensure a reliable water supply. We acquired a used plow truck from Rouse's Point, which will get us out a few more years. We acquired a trackless machine with a plow, sander, and blower attachments, which should facilitate sidewalk and curbside snow removal. We purchased new computers to upgrade the village network capabilities. We've begun the first year of a street paving drainage improvement plan. And we're working with Rouse's Point and the town of Champlain to develop a water and sewer asset management plan for cost containment and improved quality and delivery. I want to congratulate the board for the work they've done to accomplish that, and I hope we have as productive a year next year. This year, we're hoping to complete the River Street boat launch project, to develop a budget model that will reduce the need for future bond issues We won't be able to eliminate them, but we sure should be able to reduce them. We want to continue our implementation of street paving and drainage plan. And one of the things that probably fits in with what we've heard here tonight is address the issue of deteriorating structures in the downtown area. That's going to be a big thing with us this year, that we're going to try and make it a little bit more pleasing. So, just wanted to let everybody know that we have a plan, and hopefully we'll be able to execute. Now proceed with the reports from trustees. Trustee Trombley.
I really don't have much of a report this month. Glad to see that the ice rink was finally able to get flooded.
Mother Nature.
Frozen. Hopefully people are enjoying it. Zoning board was canceled last month and again this month, but I'm thinking we have a good reason to get together now. And the foul issue really needs to be looked at. Mickey, can we get a meeting together, or do we now have to wait until next month to bring this issue up?
No, we can call a meeting, just schedule it, everybody's schedule it.
And it has to.
We had a hard time coming up with that one, but.
I know it went from Tuesdays to Wednesdays,
Yeah.
and Donna, that has to be published, is it 10 days and stuff?
I don't think it's 10 days, I think it's like 3, 5.
Yeah. Maybe that's something that we need to maybe not want to wait another month on that one. And Woody, I was just wondering, will you be putting out a schedule and pricing for streets
Yes, I
for
will.
this summer?
You'll be having that shortly. I'm just waiting for pricing to come back from the vendors.
Okay.
And they're just about all in.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Are there any questions on Kim's report? Okay, Trustee Martin?
Well, we've been very busy with the shared services situation here, and I'm very encouraged by the way that things are going. I'd like to thank Mickey for agreeing to serve as chairperson, and Juanita for agreeing to be the recording secretary of this group. Just some general information: we plan on meeting on the first Thursday of each month at 5 p.m. We'll move around either the village of Champlain, the village of Rouse's Point, or the town of Champlain. It's good news, I think, that they will be opening the bids in May, so we'll get some response from there. We met this afternoon, or this evening, just before, with Bernier Carr, and that was an encouraging meeting because I think we all agree that we need this study to look at what we need to supply water and to take care of our needs here in the village, the pressure needs and some of the other aspects that have been neglected for a long time and need to be upgraded and updated. And I think that's a positive aspect, working with the town and working with the village of Rouse's Point in this area. It's certainly encouraging that these things are moving forward.
Thanks, Greg. Any questions for Greg? Just one thing I'd like to mention now too is that, to reinforce that, we've gone in the past few years from probably 12% of water and sewer usage being out of the village to approximately 30%. So that is where the growth is occurring at this time, and it's very timely for us to be looking into this. Trustee Southwick?
Planning board, we're going to met. It sounds like we're going to be getting together here shortly. Like that expansion on that building, does that mean any more jobs that you know of?
I haven't really spoken with the people that run the business, just the development corporation and the engineers.
Okay.
Like I say, I haven't seen what phase 2 to incorporate from the original plan, so until we see that, I really won't know. Hopefully there will be more jobs.
Yeah, you always hope that expansion means more jobs. The only other item I had was the shared services committee that Greg and I jointly work on, and we have a resolution in front of us that we need to pass or talk about regarding that and our commitment to being involved in this shared services committee. That's all I have. Thanks.
Any questions for Steve? No, thanks, Steve. Trustee Garrett?
I'm really short and sweet. Our winter carnival isn't going to happen. I do hope that if we do get a nor'easter that we can throw an event together. It won't take long to do it, especially because I have some help. But due to the fact that there is nothing in the forecast coming, we don't have anything out there, we'll put it on hold. But maybe in March, if we get slammed with some snow, we can get some good activities going. But as long as it stays cold, the ice rink is refrozen, and it's a great source for the week of vacation. But other than that, we won't have the added activities unless we get hit with a bunch of snow next week, and then we'll throw some stuff together. But there's nothing in the forecast, so that's all I have right now.
Any questions for Amy? Not, thank you, Amy. We'll now have the report of the Clerk Treasurer.
The revenue and expense report has been copied for the board. We have 4 purchase requests, one for coal patching in the amount of $402.81. Emergency tire repair, $402.28. Laser water and sewer billing cards for our new printer. Half to come out of water, $144.75, and the other half to come out of sewer, $144.75. And our last one is a meter reading machine for the touchpads. Half to come out of water for $1,000, and the other half to come out of sewer for $1,000.
Okay. I would like to act on the first 3 as a group, and the last one act on it individually if you don't mind. Entertain a motion to approve the first 3 purchase requisitions.
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. Trustee Trombley?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. Trustee Southwood?
Aye.
Trustee Garrett?
Aye.
The ayes have it. At this time, we'll entertain a motion for a meter reading machine for touchpads.
So moved.
Second. Okay, discussion?
Yeah. Questions. This is a new system,
Yes.
and what are we going to do with the down meters that don't meet this
It's compatible with our current water meters,
totally?
totally.
Okay.
It gives us the opportunity to upgrade to a radio read system and or a download system that would just punch the numbers right into the computer. You read it, it'd store it, you come back, download it in the computer, and it would facilitate quicker billing.
Okay, so what is that, what are you looking at as savings by spending this $2,000? Are we looking at a savings because it's more efficient, or is it just a nice new gadget we'd like to have?
It's an improvement over our current system,
Of course it's an improvement.
and it gives us the capability to expand as we have more water meters become touchpad compatible. We just have to go by and touch them, and as we progress and replace meters over the years, we can go with the radio read system, and then we could read the meters in a day versus 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
It has the potential to go that far up the line.
But that's as we replace.
Yes.
And each meter that we replace is at a cost of?
It's comparable to, no. $105 to $100 for a regular meter. It's $108 or $104. So the price of the meters is pretty much the same.
But we can't
for a
gain the
radio-
benefit yet until we're all converted to the new ones, as far as the touchpad,
It will read our current touchpad system.
just by touching.
Yep, and it'll give us the
Okay.
numbers. We still have to write the numbers down, unless you wanted to go to the handheld computer part of it, but I was hoping to at least start phasing in these other meters before we went to the handheld computer. but it gives us an opportunity to upgrade as we go along. Again, we have to start at a point where we have to build instead of keep on working at a plane that causes a lot of labor intensity.
Did you explain though that our current machine is not working?
Well, it works, but it's on its last legs.
Okay, and where is this money gonna come from? We're okay in these accounts for that? No, we have no money for it.
Actually, sewer is fine. It's because we had to do, fire hydrants, we had to do our telemetry, which brought our water account down.
So where would we pull the money from?
We're transferring from the power and source for $1,000 in the water
Okay.
to cover equipment. Cost for the meter.
Well, I have one question for you, Woody. How long, this upgraded meter, how long would it be before we're utilizing it, or utilizing the extra technology? Would it be, we can use some of it right away, or soon?
We'll be using some of it right away.
I mean, as far as the being able to download the billing and all that, or is that something out there?
That's
Further?
That's a greater expenditure if we're gonna go that route right now.
That's the golden egg to go with the golden goose.
Isn't it possible that we could incorporate this technology with what we're doing in the study so that we would look at how we build this into what we're looking at to improve our infrastructure and make it part of a grant or funding?
We could do that, yes.
And what would it cost us to replace what we have right now?
Replace what the
The unit that is on its last leg with the same type unit?
about $600, but it would be non-compatible to the meters that are out, the newer meters that are being made today. We'd be stuck in a rut with that one system.
So you're saying we wouldn't be able to start changing out meters to the newer type if we continued with this?
Yes.
But our current one is still working, but
Barely.
wobbly.
You have to take the battery out. It won't stay turned off.
That's okay.
You go through 3 or 4 batteries during your meter reading session of 3 or 4 days, if not more.
Get rechargeable batteries.
You had to use kind of Plattsburghs more than once also.
This machine is in pretty sad shape. And it was a hand-me-down. It wasn't one we purchased new.
So you're saying there's only $3 difference between the newer type meter that you want to start installing that's not compatible with our current handheld?
Yeah, the meter prices are within $3 to $6 difference.
Say it's compatible, you just have a bunch of the numbers.
See, this gun here would be able to read both meters,
Both types.
both types, our old meters and our new meters.
What's the ratio, like, some idea between the older meters and the newer ones? What have we replaced? What percentage do you think?
Donna probably better
Well,
answer
the
that.
way we were talking the other day, it's probably about half.
Out of
Because
600.
Larry said we had like 250.
250,
There's something in that
So
neighborhood.
it's a significant changeover.
Right, well, we had quite a few touch pads to start with, but yeah, they've been replacing the most of them.
Whenever we repair a meter, it goes to an oil-filled head and a touchpad.
And that percentage is only going to
Continue to rise.
Right.
So we have no way of utilizing those existing meters that are out there right now, the touchpad meters.
With the old machine, you go out with a machine, a pencil, and 2 batteries.
Right. I just don't see the advantage.
I'm looking at the advantage of, we have a supplier problem of the current meters that we are using.
Right.
I'm able to get our new meters out of New York State,
Okay.
delivered freight-free. Guys in the area once or twice a month. I have to order my other meters out of Massachusetts to the tune, I think they were $110. My current pricing for meter replacements to these people is $105 and $98 respectively, depending on the type of meter we need for the location. With these newer meters, we're able to upgrade to a computer read system, eventually going to a drive-by radio system. If you want to wait and continue, I can order a machine similar to what we have, but I wouldn't be able to upgrade to these other meters, I'd have to continue to get the other meters out of Massachusetts. Because that's the sole distributor for Neptune meters.
Aren't there labor cost savings and all this too?
In time, it would be,
If you go from, what's it take us now, 3 or 4 days to read the meters?
something like that. Sometimes 5, depending on weather.
And that would be reduced to what, a day and a half?
If we went totally to a meter read, radio read system, yeah, it would be about a day and a half at most.
Eventually, with the handheld computer, it just downloads in the computer, so
All you have to
I
do
won't
is,
have any inputting to do at all.
So that portion of it we could put into a grant. We could do the machine that we need now, and the rest we could incorporate possibly
Yes.
into grant money.
yes.
That's what we need to do. We can't wait
Well,
to
it's
try
up-
and get it all into a grant.
we
That's my
can wait to
question.
try to all get
Or-
in the grant, and we'll be back to, we'll be pushing it off to 6, 8 months, a year, 2 years down the road.
Or at least be able to budget this money, is what I'm trying to get
Yeah,
at.
because where does that leave us in these accounts, you know? And what else do we have that's gonna need to come out before the end of the year? I mean, it's another $2,000, it's not just
I know, I understand.
200. Do you have the numbers, Juanita, where it'll be left in these accounts? And then what do you foresee that still needs to come out of these accounts before June?
The one water account equipment is already in the hole.
Right.
And the sewer account, the water, the supply account will have about $1,300 left.
And what else do we have to come out of there before June? We're gonna have to borrow from somewhere else again.
I don't foresee anything. Was that in the, I believe that was in the collections. Is that in the collection system, or was that in the,
Power supply.
power and supply? Our cost should be going down.
For sewer.
When's the next time you do a reading?
March?
Yeah, I think if we don't get this one, we'll probably have to get another one.
We'll have to get the $600 one.
We worked hard to get all, as many meters as we can, and could in service. We really wanna,
But then we're
Utilize
flushing
it.
$600 if we go and do that now.
Well, maybe the option is to, it's only one more meter reading. If you wait and budget it in for next year, then you'll have a better handle on it. It won't have to be in there.
Could we borrow the town's plasters one more time?
Well, they've been doing it for a while now, suffering through meter readings
If
for a
they
while,
can find it,
so-
if it's available.
I would like another month to investigate this further and understand more where you're going, because I don't understand the meter change out thing and how that's all gonna be a long-term advantage. It's gonna take a lot of work to do that. You're always gonna have that factor of this many are not done yet. That's my suggestion.
Did I misunderstand when he said about the, that transmitter that they would put on the house? The transmitter.
I think that maybe we should table this.
Yeah,
We're looking at another 5 to 6 days to read meters for this whole done. But I need to sit down with the Water and Sewer Committee about this and give them a better explanation.
well, then the next reading after that would be mid-June,
Right.
so you're in the new budget year anyway.
Right. Now, is there someone that came up to tell you about this? A
I've
salesman?
been doing some research about this, and I've received a quote to set today.
Okay.
well, I think it is the direction that we need to
Yeah.
go in the
Obviously.
future, right?
Right.
The sales representative did come up last week and sat down and spoke with me and explained what the system would do and how it would expedite things with Donna.
Uh-huh.
It's compatible with our current billing system.
Well, maybe
If we were gonna
the
go for the whole,
trustee that's on the water sewer might meet with this salesperson as well.
Okay, well, Kim, do you wanna withdraw your second? Would you
Yes.
second? And, Amy, do you wanna withdraw your motion?
Yes, please.
Okay. So we'll, table that for the next meeting,
Thank you.
Thanks, Woody.
okay? We'll now have the presentation of warrant and payment. This time we'll entertain a motion to pay the warrant for January.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? discussion?
No?
Okay, then we'll proceed to vote. Trustee Trombley,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Southwick,
Aye.
trustee Garrett,
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. Okay. We'll now have the report of the superintendent.
I was able to print out my report this month for all you good people. I didn't forget to not copy it. I'm currently getting quotes and prices from various vendors for pipes and culverts, storm drains. In 2002, it was estimated that Pine Street would cost $6,000 for just culverts. That has gone up $2,000 this year.
Why?
Price of fuel oil, price of the crude plastics. I'm in contact, but I'm waiting for a return phone call from CHIPS. I was informed last week that I could purchase the materials with the balance of the funds I have, but I want to make sure I'm going to get a reallocation after the state's budget's passed so I can pave the road after putting drainage in. We have a water leak somewhere out in the village or township. We haven't been able to find it. We're up probably 40 to 60,000 gallons a day. It bounces up and down like a yo-yo. We haven't been able to find it.
Then we're gonna become a sinkhole, we're all gonna sink into it soon. So how do you go about finding that? How do you even go about to find this leak?
Well, we've checked various areas and looked for wet spots or steam coming up from the ground when it's super cold, and we haven't found anything. And we've had rural water up here searching. We're members of New York State Rural Water, and they haven't been able to locate it. We found a few springs.
So what makes you think it's a leak and not somebody using all this extra water?
I could understand 10,000 gallons a day, but 40 to 60,000 gallons a day over our normal usage.
We haven't added anybody new or anything funky's happening?
There's nobody out there that would be using that much water. I talked to the people at Price Chopper. They're on schedule for those people that are anxiously awaiting their...
Oh, and when you had mentioned that they said they're gonna be interviewing, do you have a date for that yet?
I haven't
So we
heard
can let
anything.
people
All
know?
I heard was that they're planning on doing some interviewing.
Yeah, 'cause a lot of people have been asking, so I was curious if you had a date yet. Okay.
There's a school that's sponsored by the Clinton County Health Department, and we'll be sending our water people down to Peru in March, dealing with groundwater and surface water rules and regulations and changes. I'm still working on this backhoe trade, or seeing what we can do with that expensive piece of machinery that just keeps taking money out of our coffers. And to answer Kim's question, the work schedule for spring is almost done, and the road schedule for the summer work, drainage and paving, will be done by the end of this week. Conroy agreement, I'm still waiting to hear from them and when they're going to hook up for their power on Paquette Boulevard for the new building. And I'd like to put out there that the ice is for skates and kids, not cars and Jeeps. I've received some reports that there's been a red pickup down there and a 4x4 Jeep spinning on the ice. If somebody sees it, they can call the state police or give me a plate number and I'll call the state police.
Do we have any old fencing out back that we can put up to prevent that?
If they're going over the snowbanks, they'll go over the fencing.
There's some spikes in town?
I don't think we could do that.
You don't want to injure any skaters.
We're going to the liability issue here.
Ah, man.
Good idea, though.
Yeah, I think so.
Anything else?
I see we picked up another shared service with the town, using the sewer jet to help them clean out culverts.
Well, this is the shared service, kind of a lend-lease thing. They've loaned us the bulldozer in the past, or gravel, so
Well, it's good to keep that going.
it works out well for both of us.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for the superintendent? If not, we'll move on to correspondence.
We have a correspondence from Bring Your Car and Associated regarding the shared service asset management plan. 2, another correspondence from Bring Your Car and Associates regarding potential water supply improvements to the village. We have a memo from Superintendent Kissel regarding water samples for the Ridge Road District. Correspondence from DEC and memo from Superintendent Kissel regarding discharge monitoring report for period ending 11/30/05. Correspondence from Clinton County Health Department regarding positive test results for coliform in the town of Champlain. Correspondence from New York State DOT regarding the CHIPS funds for 2005 and 2006. Letter from Attorney Keeble, an agreement between the village and Conroy relative to the temporary usage of electricity, and a correspondence from Clerk Treasurer Munoz. Correspondence from Clinton County Health Department regarding the monitoring requirements for our water supply system for 2006. Correspondence from the town of Champlain asking that the village perform test samples requested by the Clinton County Health Department. Correspondence from Park requesting the village pass a resolution supporting reconfiguration of the Empire Zone.
Okay, thank you, Juanita. Is there anything anyone wants to add to new business regarding any of these correspondence items? If not, we'll proceed to old business. GSA meters, manholes, we're going to be sending them go ahead, Woody.
I've made some phone calls today to the various people within GSA, talked to Trout River. He was kind of surprised that this situation hasn't been taken care of. I said it's been ongoing since 2000. I'm expecting a return phone call tomorrow. They have a new contractor that performs maintenance at the border. This situation may be rectified before the end of May.
Well, it's good to hear. Woody found some correspondence from back then that the well was not put in according to specs. It was supposed to have big Velcro doors, it was supposed to be accessible, and for whatever reason it just didn't get put in according to the plans. So hopefully we'll get that straightened out. The Time Warner cable franchise, I think we haven't gone any further with that. As far as the abolition of the justice position, we received a petition to put that to a referendum, so that will be put on the ballot at election time. A decision is needed whether to do an easement or a deed survey for Orville Palmer's property. My feeling is if he's willing to do an easement, I don't know why we just don't do that.
I didn't think we had to do
That'd
anything.
be part of the...
If we went with the easement.
Mr. Keeble still thinks that you're going to need a surveyor to come in to measure the exact measurement of the land and what he's going to make into the easement to the village.
That property's never been surveyed before, or?
There are difference of 6 or 8 inches there.
Yeah, there's...
The different surveys.
Well, we'll table that till next meeting and we'll do a little more research then. I really hesitate. It's gonna cost us a couple $1,000 to do a survey, I would think.
I think the easement just has to do with how it's described. Whether both parties agree
Right.
that it's gonna be on his deed. I'm not a real estate.
Well, I guess we'll contact council and see what he has to say regarding this, other than
Check to see if
We
there's
should
been
get it surveyed.
surveys done.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. Under new business, we have an employee who completed his Class D water distribution certification. And in light of that, Terry Lincourt, I would like to entertain a motion to increase his salary by 50 cents.
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Well, it's actually a monetary thing. Trustee Trombley?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Yes.
Trustee Southwood?
Aye.
Trustee Garrett?
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. Congratulations, Terry. I'm glad you're the first one to complete some training. We hope that everyone will do some more training. It's well worth the effort. So, congratulations. We have two resolutions which we need to act on. The first is regarding a shared services grant. Juanita, did you read that?
Everybody
tonight.
This is where
Two
your
of them.
money.
There we go.
At a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Champlain, Clinton County, New York, held on February 13, 2006, it was moved by trustee and seconded by trustee that the following resolution be duly adopted. Whereas Village of Champlain representatives have been participating with representatives from the Village of Rouse's Point and the Town of Champlain, the Shared Service Committee, an ongoing discussion of the benefits to be achieved from shared water and sewer services. Whereas there is tremendous public support for the concept of sharing the services to reduce costs to system users and taxpayers, particularly in light of the announced closure of Wyeth Pharmaceuticals. And whereas the Shared Service Committee, in consultation with the Environmental Facilities Corporation, has recommended the preparation of a 3-municipality infrastructure asset management plan to determine the benefits and efficiencies of shared water and sewer services. And whereas the Village of Champlain has agreed to serve as lead applicant for a shared service municipal services incentive program grant application for funds to develop and implement a public drinking water and sewer infrastructure asset management plan which addresses the needs of 3 municipalities. And whereas the Village of Rouse's Point and the Town of Champlain have agreed to serve as co-applicants for the Joint Shared Municipal Services Incentive Program grant application. And whereas $270,000 in Shared Municipal Services Incentive Program grant monies are being requested to prepare the 3-municipality infrastructure asset management plan to be matched by 10% by $10,000 from each municipality. Now, here it be resolved, the Village of Champlain Board of Trustees hereby authorize the Mayor of the Village of Champlain, Jeffrey Moore, to file an application for the Joint Shared Municipal Services Incentive Program grant for the 2005-2006 program year, and further authorizes him to serve as lead contact person in all matters relative to this financial assistance and to execute all financial and/or administrative processes related to the grant program. And be it further resolved, the Village of Champlain Board of Trustees hereby affirms its commitment to serve as the lead applicant for the Shared Municipal Incentive Program grant, to join in an intermunicipal agreement with the Town of Champlain and Village of Rouse's Point to provide its share of the matching funds, and to continue to work with the Village of Rouse's Point and the Town of Champlain toward realizing project goals through participation in the Shared Services Committee. The fourth goal was duly put to a roll call vote as follows. Mayor Jeffrey Moore voting.
We have
Okay,
to
you have to have a motion.
Run on sentence,
You're on
I
a
think.
roll, you can slow down. Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Now we'll proceed to vote. Trustee Champlain,
Aye.
Trustee Martin,
Aye.
Trustee Southwick,
Aye.
Trustee Garrett,
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. Motion is carried. And now we have a resolution supporting and concurring with Clinton County's application for redesignation of one area within the Village of Champlain as an Empire Zone. Did everybody get the chance to see the map and the expansion? Okay, you can go ahead and read this one too. Probably short.
At a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Champlain, Clinton County, New York, held on February 13, 2006. It was moved by trustee and seconded by trustee that the following resolution be duly adopted. Resolution supporting and concurring with Clinton County's application for redesignation of one area within the Village of Champlain as an Empire Zone. Whereas pursuant to Section 961 of the General Municipal Law, the County of Clinton authorized pursuant to Resolution 736 dated September 24, 1997, an application to be submitted by the Plattsburgh Air Force Redevelopment Corporation on behalf of the county for redesignation of certain areas as an Empire Zone within the meaning of said statute. And such designation was approved as Empire Zone number 56, with a total acreage of 1,280 acres by the New York State Commissioner of Economic Development and was formally designated by the Empire Zone's Redesignation Board on June 3rd, 1998. And whereas the County of Clinton ratified Empire Zone number 56 and supported and concurred with expansion of Empire Zone number 56 pursuant to local law number 1 dated February 12, 2003. And whereas the County of Clinton supported and concurred with additional expansion of Empire Zone number 56 pursuant to local law number 2 dated September 22, 2004. And whereas the New York State Legislature and the Governor have enacted into law changing to the Empire Zones program whereby each existing Empire Zone must configure its existing zone acreage into 3 or 6 distinct and separate contingent areas. And it has been determined that Clinton County Empire Zone number 56 must configure its existing zone acreage into 6 distinct and separate contingent areas. And whereas pursuant to section 957D and 961 of the General Municipal Law, the County of Clinton has proposed the redesignation of the existing Clinton County Empire Zone number 56 into 6 distinct and separate contingent areas, which will include one area in the village of Champlain as follows. Area number 3 at 66.12 acres for a total of 66.12 acres in the village of Champlain. And the boundaries of said area to be included in Empire Zone number 56 within the village of Champlain shall be as set forth in the map and legal description in Schedule A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof. And whereas such redesignation may greatly benefit the village of Champlain and that new business could be encouraged to locate in the Empire Zone. Existing businesses would be encouraged to expand in the Empire Zone, and the new and expanded businesses would generate new jobs for the village of Champlain residents. And whereas the County of Clinton has authorized the submission of an application in compliance with the newly enacted changes to the Empire Zone program for the redesignation of 6 areas within Clinton County as an Empire Zone with a total acreage not to exceed 1,280 acres. And whereas the village of Champlain is desirous of working with the County of Clinton through the Empire Zone program to provide enhanced job opportunities for its residents. And now, therefore, it be resolved by the Village Board in the Village of Champlain, New York, that it fully supports and concurs with the submission of an application by the County of Clinton for the redesignation of one area described above and set forth in Schedule A as an Empire Zone in the Village of Champlain.
Thank you, Juanita. Good job.
So moved.
Second? Okay. Is there any discussion? Now we'll proceed to vote. Trustee Champlain?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Trustee Southwood? Aye. Trustee Garrett?
Aye.
Mayor Moore? Aye. Ayes have it. That's all the new business you have. At this point, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.